1061.
Okay, good.
He would also clean the cistern 7 days a week, whenever it would fill with dirty bath water, and the residue water used to clean the pots and laundry. As in Meherabad, the residents in Toka were divided into 3 sections under the management of Bu Sahib, Rao Sahib, and Rustam. Bu Sahib was in charge of the boys of Meher Ashram, Raso Sahib of the Prem Ashram boys, and Rustam of the Mandali. At meals, the men Mandali were given the stale chapatis to eat and had no proper arrangement for cooking. But under Bu Sahib, the children did not suffer. The food cooked for them was excellent, and they were given milk each day. The Mandali had to remain content with their bland food, and hence Pindu named the Mandali section the untouchable department. Rustam lived in Toka with his family, which included his wife Prini, his 2 sons, 4-year-old Melu and 3-year-old Falu, and his 1-year-old daughter Meheru. There's an asterisk.
Oh, so who's that Meru?
Meru's.
Oh, that's our Meru.
Yeah.
Well, what was the, no.
Read the paragraph.
Read it again.
Yeah.
He lived with his wife Fanny and...
Right. So Rustam, is this Altoids?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks.
Right. Rustam lived in Toka with his family, which included his wife Frini, his 2 sons, 4-year-old Melu and 3-year-old Falu, and his 1-year-old daughter Meheru. And there's a footnote here.
And the others have no interest in Baba. You know, this Meru is the only one that became a Mandali member.
Okay, Meheru, who was to become one of Meher Baba's women Mandali, had Baba's contact since her birth and grew up under Baba's guidance.
Wow. You know something, I just have to pause on that moment. Being with Meru most recently, 96, and in the past when she was and how sometimes you just can't imagine. I mean, let's face it, folks, we at times do things that are maybe taking them for granted.
Mm-hmm.
But here, this record, this book is just chronicling, saying that she grew up with Baba, I mean, from childhood. It's not like she just walked in and, I'm going to become a Mandali. God,
actually even before that, because, you know what I mean, it's like Baba was at the wedding of her mom and dad.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of
My
Mani,
God.
how Baba ran in to be the first one to hold her when she was born.
Oh, yeah, Mani.
You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
very
these
special.
people were so blessed. I mean, we have
So
no
she's a little
kind of
younger
conceit of it.
than Mani. She's a
Yes,
little
yes.
younger than
Meru's probably in her 60s now, isn't she?
Yeah. Well, this is 28,
So that's 70 years ago.
so she's 69.
Ooh, wow.
Well, yes, 70, 71. She must be.
Wow, she looks good.
Very.
Yeah. Yeah.
She looks very good for that age.
She doesn't, yeah.
Her hair is turning more gray than before, but she's still...
But look at the connection. She's Meher's niece. Meher's niece. Mm-hmm. And Adi Senior is her uncle.
They're all very connected.
All very connected, yeah.
Adi Senior was...
Is her uncle.
Meru's uncle?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know anything.
You think about it, someday, on some planet, somewhere, we're all going to be born. A whole bunch of us are going to be born really, really close to beloved Baba. You know?
Could be this planet still, I don't know.
Could be.
700
I think
years.
it has to be, doesn't
Can I
it?
tell you in all honesty, folks, 100 years now, when I look back, I mean, of course, I'm speaking sort of like we're reaching the end of this decade, this century.
Yeah.
That I could look back and think 100 years isn't that long, really.
No.
When you think about it.
People live that long.
I know. It seems long when you're just starting out.
Yeah.
But as you reach the
You're
end, as you reach the end of the century, you really start thinking, 100 years, just look at Jerry, my father-in-law. He's going to be 95 or something. So he was born like at the turn of the century almost. So he's almost seen this whole
This has been an amazing century, too.
And can you imagine what's gone on? The Wright brothers, automobile, light bulb. Well, the light bulb was out before the
Computers.
Penicillin.
And of course the Titanic.
Sterilization, the nurse speaking. But
Airplanes.
yeah.
Space
travel. In fact, I was thinking of is what if I designed a boat like the Titanic and had tours,
They probably will do that. They probably will.
But I would get on that boat to travel from.
You are too funny, Fred.
I would travel from Southampton to New York.
Oh, God.
Go near icebergs, and everything.
Oh, gee.
And then the captain would say, take her out to sea.
Yeah.
And you go, I am the king of the world. I love that scene where the kid says that. Oh, I feel so.
You seen the
My
movie.
heart
You start crying then.
I've seen it many times.
I know.
I've seen it the first time. Gigi told me, please, don't invite me, go yourself.
That's a lot of time.
Gigi doesn't really like the movie, but
Oh, she didn't like it?
Oh, God.
So,
Appreciate that.
go home.
Shagan's family were also residents of Toka. His wife Shanta prepared chapatis with the woman Mandali. At night, Shagan was on duty near Baba as his watchman. Without any prior indications, Baba entered seclusion inside the table cabin on June 22nd. He remained in this small cabin, fasting on 1 meal a day, which Gomai would bring from the women's quarters. This sudden seclusion caused the women Mandali to wonder whether Baba was upset with them. All except Meherabad decided to keep silence while Baba was in seclusion. Gomai conveyed this to Baba and he sent them a message. I am not displeased or offended with you in any way. I have to remain alone for my spiritual work. So start speaking and stop worrying. The women obeyed accordingly. Baba would call for his meal at any time during the day, which required Naja to keep his food always ready, and because of this she would serve leftovers to the women Mandali. They eventually complained to Naja to give them Baba's food at night if he had not requested it. Yeah, they eventually complained to Naja to give them Baba's food at night if he had not requested it. So finding that Baba had not called for his food all day, Naja served it that night to the women at 9 o'clock. However, at midnight, Baba called for his food, but there was nothing left to give him. Baba sent this message: all who kept me hungry by eating my food would get a stomachache. This incident made things much easier for Naja, as now all the other women understood that food should always be kept for Baba, even at night. The next day, Gadakar left for Pune to continue his studies. Baba stayed in seclusion throughout the night. On June 24th, Baba rose at 6 o'clock and found that there was no one around to attend to him. Also, finding no water kept near him to wash his face, he became very angry. He had specifically ordered Brother Jal not to leave his place beside the cabin, and now he was missing. Baba reprimanded the Mandali. Since no one pays any attention to me, I will now attend to my own needs. I don't need anyone's help. All of you are tall talkers and self-praisers. You boast that you are my disciples, but not one is there to faithfully carry out his duty. All respect me as their master, but give me only trouble, harassing me instead of serving me. Baba concluded in a warning tone, I am now absolutely fed up. I'm disgusted. One day I will go away all alone, and no one will ever see me in my physical form again. You all write this down. All morning a tense atmosphere prevailed, but by afternoon Baba's mood simmered down. Shagan, who was an expert swimmer, Chagan, who was an expert swimmer, was directed to teach the boys swimming. One day, without his knowledge, some of the boys went for a swim. When informed, Chagan became very worried and ran to the river, where he found the boys on the point of drowning. Chagan swam out to them and rescued them. The following day, Mindi Khan rescued Abbas Khan from drowning. And when Baba found out about this incident, he stopped the swimming lessons. Later, when Rustam requested Baba to allow the children to swim again, He consented, remarking, "What a pity, you all know how to swim, and I, in whom all swim, do not know how." When Dastur asked Baba why he had not learned, he replied, "Because I no longer need to swim. I have swum in eternity, and now all swim in me, but they are unaware of it." Abdullah was still being kept in close proximity to the master. Another seat was carefully built by Pindu and Padri for Abdullah alongside Baba's seat in the new bamboo hut. A red flag was hoisted above the hut, and all were cautioned not to go near it when the flag was being flown. This order was also written on the notice boards in the Prem Ashram and Sadhak Ashram. Baba declared, "From the 1st of July, I will closet myself in this hut for my work for the Prem Ashram boys." He added, "I will make them the envy of all." The Mandali anticipated a further outburst of weeping on the children's part. From June 28th, Baba began spending more time with the Prem Ashram boys, once again fixing certain times of the day when the boys should come to him. They were ordered to be near Baba every day from 9 to 11 a.m., and again from 5 to 7 p.m. The Jasawala family and Nurshirwan Safa came to see Baba. Later that day, while discussing the ashram boys, Bao Sahib complained to Baba that Rao Sahib and Chanji were a hindrance in his work. Dastur backed Bao Sahib, and Chanji and Rao Sahib were called before Baba. Bao Sahib claimed that due to interference from these two men, the children were being spoiled. Dastur entered, and a prolonged and heated discussion followed, in which Dastur shouted out his opinion with anger. Baba admonished him, "What you say is true, but your way of talking is not good." Dastur lost his temper and flew into a rage, threatening to leave for Bombay. For some time, Baba listened patiently and then replied, "If you want to go away, you may. I don't need you. You need me. You are not in the least obliging me by staying here." Hearing this, Dastur stalked off to his room. Disgusted by his behavior, Baba remarked, "How long am I to swallow this? You men don't oblige me in any way by staying with me. Although I am your master, I serve you. And you people are under the impression that you are serving me." In the evening, Baba sent food for Dastur, but he refused it. When it was sent again, Dastur relented. He informed Baba that he would be leaving the next day. Baba replied, "Beware of what will happen to you if you are proud." Baba then forgave him, consoling him not to worry and have a good sleep. The next day, the master spent a long time explaining certain points to Dastur. It is best if there is a balance between the head and the heart, but to combine them and keep them balanced is almost impossible. Even in small, petty matters, the intellect rules the heart and spoils the mood. There is nothing better than if your duty is performed according to my wish and with a balance between the head and the heart. Try, and I will help you. Even as a little salt spoils an entire pail of fresh milk, so also the virtues of a man are nullified by a streak of pride in his character. Meherabad Star.
Okay, why don't we end there, because Meherabad Star is a new thing of coming to India. So we conclude our Lord Meher on this 16th of February 1998, page 1064. Avta Meher Baba Ki Jai. Jai Baba. This is the Lord Meher meeting on February 23rd, 2 days before Baba's birthday. So this is like a birthday for you, Mark.
Yeah.
This is the 1998 year, and we're in volume 3 of Lord Meher, the biography of the age of Meher Baba, Avatar of the Age, volume 3. Covers the years 1925 to 1929. And on page 1064, it's called Head and Heart. In the evening, Baba was Baba sent food to Dastir, but he refused it. When it was sent again, Dastur relented. He informed Baba that he would be leaving the next day. Baba replied, "Beware of what will happen to you if you are proud." Baba then forgave him, consoling him not to worry and to have a good sleep. The next day, the master spent a long time explaining certain points to Dastur. It is best if there is a balance between the head and the heart, but to combine them and keep them balanced is almost impossible. Even in small, petty matters, the intellect rules the heart and spoils its mood. There is nothing better than if your duty is performed according to my wish, and with a balance between the head and the heart. Try, and I will help you. Even as a little salt spoils an entire pail of fresh milk, so also the virtues of man are nullified by a streak of pride in his character. Meherabad Star, along with his wife Margaret and her sister Esther Rose, arrived in Toka at noon on June 30th. With them came Minu Puhuwala and Ardeshar Shampurji Bharia from Bombay, and Rusi and Keki Irani from Quetta. Rustam met them at the confluence of the Parvara and Godavari rivers and brought them to Toka in his car. They were pleasantly surprised at the beautiful surroundings and immediately liked the place. The group offered flowers and fruits to Baba. Rustam took them on a tour of the ashram, as they were allowed special rooms which had been built for them, furnished with furniture brought from Meherabad. Although a person of mixed character, from an early age, Meherabad Star had been interested in Eastern philosophy and spirituality. There's a footnote. I wonder what that's going to say, because he was eventually, didn't he run away?
Well, he rejected.
Meherabad Star had been involved with an infamous magician or occultist in England named Aleister Crowley. Oh yeah, remember?
Yeah.
When he read the Upanishads, he felt as if he had lived with such thoughts for ages. After much meditation and periods of solitude, he gained some spiritual insight, and when he met Rustam in London in April, he said his prayers for the guidance of a living master were finally answered. Star was 38 years old when he arrived in India, and had sold all his belongings before coming to India, expecting to live in Meher Baba's ashram permanently. Later that night, explaining the Star about meditation, Baba stated, "Meditation and concentration should be as natural as a lizard concentrating on its prey, oblivious to everything else. Its concentration is so one-pointed that it only waits to pounce, with no other thought except the hunt, until it has caught its prey." On July 1st, after a gap of 2 months, Baba ordered the boys to meditate at 6 o'clock in the morning for 45 minutes, and again in the afternoon from 4 to 4:30. Classes in the school were regularly held, and daily attendance was required. July 2nd was a full moon day, and the holiday was granted. In the morning, the boys washed Baba's feet, and games were played throughout the day. At midnight, Baba took a stroll in the moonlight with the watchman. That was a beautiful scene. Dastur was still disturbed. After keeping himself aloof for some days, on July 3rd, he asked permission to go to Bombay, and Baba allowed him to leave. Later in the day, when the boys were playing in the field, a ferocious water buffalo suddenly rushed toward them. Baidul ran forward and caught hold of the buffalo's horns.
Amazing.
It did its best to fling him off, but Baidul twisted its head and succeeded in bringing it to the ground, thus saving the boys from harm. Well, he must have been strong.
It must have been amazing, yeah.
Baba was pleased with Baidul's courage, and the next day, in his honor, he gave everyone a tea party with bhajans.
That's awesome.
Afterward, Rustam and Vishnu delivered speeches of appreciation to Baidul. On July 4th, Baba ordered Star to observe silence for a period of time, conveying this message to him. "The time of my manifestation all over the world is very near. You will play an important part in that universal game of mine." While in the ashram, Margaret Star, his wife, and Esther Ross were given the duty of sewing for 3 hours each day, and were also instructed to meditate. Occasionally, Baba would send for them, and they would sit beside him. The next day, Star tacked a sign on his door. "Do not disturb, I am meditating." Later, Baba went to his cabin and knocked on the door. Star did not open it, and Margaret pointed to the sign. Baba smiled and left without commenting. So Margaret must have been alongside Baba, and when he knocked,
Well, no,
Star
she
was
must have been in the area, and she
Yes,
probably
he just
saw.
pointed.
Yeah.
But Baba just smiled, and
I mean, he's ignoring God.
the object of his meditation had come to see him, but the meditator was sleeping.
Yeah, so he was actually sleeping, yeah.
What could the master do? Baba wanted to awaken the man's heart, but Star was seeing him only through his mind. On the 5th of July, Baba began another long fast inside the table cabin. He did not even drink water the whole day, but at night he sipped a little and had a cup of weak tea. As the red flag was flying over his cabin, no one approached the area. In the evening, Baba remarked, "All accept me as their master and revere me, but no one carries out my orders and obeys me as I wish. I am still without a single disciple. In fact, all are my masters, and I am their disciple, since I have to act according to their wishes." The boys in the Prem Ashram were all spiritually inclined, and frequently would become overexcited in their enthusiasm. Regarding his spiritual work with them, the next day Baba advised the boys, "Don't be hasty. The preparations are being made, and you are being prepared for what I want to give. You would not be able to assimilate anything new if I were to give it to you now. It would be too heavy a meal for you to digest, too strong a dose. So be patient and wait for the banquet." Dastur returned from Bombay on July 6th and rested for a while on Baba's gadi or lounge. Bailey reported this to Baba, who replied, "So what? I only want love, and he has it. I have no objection to his lying there." Bailey felt that to occupy the master's special seat was a great insult, but Baba made him understand that he gave no value to a piece of wood and some cushions. It was only love and obedience that mattered to him. Gulmai K. Irani's birthday was celebrated that day, and Baba distributed sweets and tea. At 2 o'clock, Baba suddenly left the table cabin, complaining, "This place is not suitable for my work," and proceeded toward the riverside in search of a better place for seclusion. He walked to many different spots, but found none to his liking. Finally, he selected a corner near his gadi, where he could remain undisturbed. But there was another reason for Baba's sudden break in his confinement. On July 7th, Agha Ali's father again came to Toka to take him away, saying that he had heard a report that Meher Baba had left the ashram and all the schoolboys had gone insane. Haji was taken to meet his son, and after observing that the boy was well and normal, he returned to Bombay the following day. While at Toka, Ardeshar Shapurji Baria came to meet the master and wished to stay in the ashram. To test him, Baba directed him to do the work of preparing bamboo matting. He was unfamiliar with such work, but Pendu showed him how to weave them, and he brought the finished mats to Baba. After inspecting the mats, Baba put on Baria's chappals and remarked, "Your chappals don't fit me. What can I do? When your chappals are my size, I will keep you with me." Baria was confused by Baba's words. What he meant was that Baria was not yet ready to stay with him. So Baria left Toka to pay the price for a suitable pair of chappals for Baba, to prepare himself and make his life worthy of staying with the master. Andeshwar Baria was later known as Kaka Baria, one of Baba's mandali, but he suffered 2 years of testing before becoming fit to stay with the master in 1930. He was to remain with Baba to the end and was a remarkable man. Kaka, as he was called, was born in Avarsi on February 23rd, 1891.
Today's his birthday.
Ah, happy birthday!
Kakavaria.
That's Kakavaria. Kaka. Happy birthday, Kaka. He studied mechanical engineering in school. He once worked for 2 years for the same company for which Chanji had worked, the Greaves Cotton Mills of Bombay. After working for a similar firm in Nagpur for 5 years, he spent 2 years at the Tata Iron and Steel Company in Jamshedpur. He had also worked in Iraq as an automotive mechanic. In 1928, when he met Baba, he was 38 years old. He lived in Bombay and was the owner of several taxicabs. From childhood, Kaka had been interested in visiting the tombs of well-known saints. While in Nagpur, he met Tajuddin Baba, who assured him, "All will be well with you." He also visited HAZRAT Babajan when he was in Pune. Even though he would see her regularly, he would never say a word to her. One day she inquired why he never asked her for anything. He replied, "You are the ocean, and I am but a traveler who has come to drink from the ocean." Kaka also met Narayan Maharaj, who had him sit near him and treated him kindly. Finally, he met Upasni Maharaj, and it was Maharaj who actually told Kaka to join Meher Baba. Since there was no barber shop in Toka, Pendu was asked to shave and cut the hair of the residents. The structure made of bamboo matting was improvised with 2 mirrors, 2 chairs, and a bench for keeping newspapers and magazines. A man named Subdebar volunteered to help Pendu. The opening of the shop was on July 8th, when Pendu shaved Baba, his first customer. Phonograph records were played in the background, and the atmosphere was filled with light-hearted fun. Sounds like a real trip. Meherji entertained the group by doing gymnastic tricks, and tea was served as a refreshment. Here's one start there later that
They
day.
really had fun, you know?
Yeah, later there. Meher Baba with a boy in Nasik.
Yes.
Isn't that fun?
Yes. Later that day, Baba recounted this tale. A Sadguru once caught hold of a delinquent boy and said how he wished that he would become his disciple. The boy was not interested, but the Sadguru persuaded him to be his disciple by promising him progress on the spiritual path. He promised to take the boy through the plains and let him have powers. Day after day, the boy regularly came to the master solely in hope of this achievement. He waited 6 years, but never entered the plains. He eventually realized that the master's promise was a ploy and meant something else. It is the work of Sadgurus, it is the profession of Sadgurus, and it is the wish of Sadgurus to keep those of past connection near them by giving them false promises to make them hold to them. Wow. From the 1st of July, a sannyasi named Shankar Pate had been staying in Toka. Baba had instructed him to meditate while seated under a tree, and he was given 1 meal a day. Of all the sannyasis, wandering yogis, mendicants, and fakirs who came to the master, Pate proved to be the most steadfast, remaining under Baba's direct instruction for 6 months. Pate lived like a recluse while at Toka. One day, while mentioning his solitary nature with the Mandali, Baba was reminded of Nusarwan Satha. Baba had advised him to give up politics and remain with him, to which he had agreed, but so far had not done so. Baba quoted this saying by Vivekananda, "Maya, let go of your hold, O sannyasi, be bold." This means that one should be outrageous enough to take the step of breaking one's connection with the world. Despite Baba's repeated advice, Nusarwan Satha did not give up politics and joined the ashram, though he continued to stay in close contact with the master his entire life. Even though fasting, Baba would often serve meals to the Mandali and boys and was careful to see that no food was wasted. On July 9th, some of the Mandali discarded a portion of their lunch. When Baba found out, he asked with obvious displeasure, "Why did you throw away your food?" They replied that he had served them more than they could eat. "I will serve as much as I like," scolded Baba, "but you should never waste food. You should have eaten it even if your stomachs had burst. You know it is my standing order not to waste food. Why did you break that order? Am I so mad as to give you more than you can eat? Haven't you at least had that much understanding after so many years? This path is not as easy as swallowing sweet laddus all day long. You have no idea what I am giving you through the food." Once a week, would go to Ahmednagar for marketing and would always dress in torn clothing. In spite of Rustam's constant pleading with him to wear new clothes and even offering to pay for the material and tailor, Pesu refused to change his attire. One day, Pesu went for a swim in the river and left his tattered clothing on the bank. On Baba's instructions, Ramju sneaked up and tore the tore the clothes even more. He's not going to change, you know. When Pesu came out of the river and found his clothes in shreds, he wrapped a towel around himself and ran to Baba. At the time, Baba was serving lunch to the boys. Pesu could not contain himself and said, "Baba, Rustam!" Baba interrupted and asked him, "Why didn't you bring lemons from the bazaar?" This is really funny. Pesu again tried to explain what Rustam had done, but before he continued, Baba asked the same question.
Why didn't you bring lemons?
Because he got shopping. This exchange was repeated 2 or 3 more times until at last Pesu walked away. Afterward, Baba burst out laughing with a big silent smile, and all the rest thoroughly enjoyed the joke. Pleader was new to the Mandli. There's a picture of him too. Wow, he looks really a handsome guy.
Oh yeah, very.
Striking guy. Having recently joined Baba and expressed his willingness to serve in any way. There were no sweepers in the ashram, and this was a problem as there were no flush toilets or septic tanks. Masiji was given the duty of cleaning the women's toilets. The men Mandli would relieve themselves in the fields, but the boys' toilets required cleaning, and this was done by different men Mandli. It's so funny how the men used to do it Indian style, just go in the field, the way the Indians do.
That's right, and then let nature take its course.
Yeah.
When we go in the ground.
Yeah.
Can you imagine all the groundwater in India in a way when you think about it? That urine has to go somewhere. Don't you think it goes eventually?
Yeah, it depends how, what I mean?
Deep, but
When it goes into whatever is growing, One day, Baba informed Pleader, "You should either work as a sweeper or fast for 7 months on water. Which do you prefer?" Pleader chose to fast, but Baba suggested otherwise. We masters also work as sweepers, cleaning toilets, meaning sanskaras, and that we do internally. You should attend to the external latrines, and I will see to the internal. Don't think of anything else except this duty. Pleader hesitated, but Baba assured him, "Don't let it bother you. I will give you another duty after some time." Gustaji's brother Saurabh suggested to Baba that for exercise the men should swim 4 or 5 miles in the river every day. Baba explained, "Swimming me? I am the ocean. Chanji and Bua Sahib have crossed it, and you are all swimming in it. I am the ocean of love." On Tuesday, July 10th, 1928, the 3rd anniversary of Baba's silence was celebrated. At 2 in the afternoon, Baba's feet were washed, and the Manli and boys gave him a bath. The daily singing of the Gujarati Arti, composed by Baba, Bujave Nar, began from that day. As prasad, Baba distributed sweets and tea to all. Should I keep going?
Please.
Okay, this is a new paragraph. Ooh, Baba, beautiful picture coming up. Although Baba was in seclusion, he would come out to the ashram every day for inspection and also go for a walk to the riverside. In the moonlight, he would often go for a ride along the river in a rowboat with the boys in Mandli. Most of his time was spent with the boys. When not explaining spiritual matters or giving them a discourse, Baba would play cricket and ping-pong with the boys. In the cricket games, Baba would be the captain of one team and Rustam of the other, and every day a match was played between their respective teams. The classes in schools were being conducted regularly, with the exams given periodically. On July 15th, Deshpande and Edke joined the ashram to teach in the school. Baba himself would keep a watchful eye on the teachers' lessons. 4 boys were shifted from the Meher Ashram to the Prem Ashram that day. The boy Jamshed Afsari continued to disobey Baba's instructions, and on July 21st he was asked to leave the ashram, which he did, showing no sign of regret. The next day, Agha Ali was reported to be misbehaving, and so he was transferred back to the Meher Ashram. It was a severe punishment for Ali, and he cried throughout the night. 2 more boys were especially troublesome. 2 more boys who were especially troublesome were Jamshed Khan and Mehdi Khan, both of whom left the school on July 23rd. Baba was not, however, displeased by their departures. On the contrary, he remarked, "A great burden has been lifted from my shoulders. I will be able to breathe freely now that after half a year of tolerance." The next evening, all the boys are disappearing. The next evening, several of the other boys began crying uncontrollably and behaving in an uncooperative manner. Baba was upset and blamed the staff, complaining, "If this is the result of so much labor and spending thousands and thousands of rupees, it has all been useless. Now it is better to close the ashram down." Until recently, parents could visit their children in Tokka as often as they like. Every day a bus was arranged to leave from Ahmednagar, and the parents could come free of charge. But from July 20th, this was discontinued. They could still visit any number of times, but now they had to provide their own way. On July 23rd, Baba called Meredith Starr and discussed his future work. In the course of their conversation, Baba remarked, "I will work through you in the West. You will work for me directly. I have drawn you here and will make you perfect in this life." That's actually what the whole thing was about when he left Baba. That he wanted Baba to make him perfect.
Wait, Baba promised him that.
Yes. Yeah.
So?
Yeah, well, this is it, you see.
So he didn't get it then?
Well, I don't know exactly what happened,
Because he demanded, he says,
yes.
"You promised."
Yes.
Oh, I demand my God realization.
Right.
Did he say that?
Well, yeah, Baba had promised it. But maybe Baba wasn't ready at that time, you know what I mean? But here it is, that Baba had promised it to him.
It's later on, in the 30s, in those trips, he starts getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And we came out west, and he didn't be part of that group for Baba to break his silence.
Right.
He wanted to stay in Baba's room, didn't he?
I don't remember that right now. Thinking himself to be someone important, Starr was, of course, pleased to hear this. Wow. This is a picture of Baba here. Beautiful picture of Baba dressed in regal fashion in the Prem Ashram in 28.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It was great going through this book,
Oh, you never did, huh?
It was wonderful. On July 24th, the ashram boys were punished for their misbehavior the previous day by not being allowed to go near Baba or have his darshan. Baba did not visit the school, although he made his usual rounds of the ashram. Because of his misconduct, Agha Ali was now ordered to attend school, and he obeyed, though he had tears in his eyes and soon expressed his desire to return to Bombay. Baba readily consented and motioned for him to leave immediately, but Rao Sahib intervened, appealing to Baba to forgive the boy. After several hours of discussion, Baba at last pardoned Ali. The next day he forgave all the boys and allowed them to take darshan. The weather in Tokka continued to be damp and dreary, which caused some of the Mandli and 5 of the boys to fall ill with fever. Dr. Satay of Ahmednagar had since replaced Dr. Karkal as the ashram's physician, and when he did not show up for 3 days due to flooded roads, Baba himself began treating all the patients. He would prescribe and distribute medicine, take the patients' temperatures and feel their pulses. He'd even wash their plates and glasses, not permitting anyone else to do this work for fear of contamination. Amazingly, all the patients became well within 2 days. Even Karim was healed, who suffered from a high fever but was ordered by Baba to continue his duty in the Prem Ashram. After 2 weeks in Toka, the teacher Edke developed terrible sores on his legs, which became septic and would not heal. His condition became so severe that Masaji had to carry him around on his back. No treatment cured the infection. Dr. Sathe was sorely convinced that the only resort was to send Edke to Ahmednagar, where his leg would have to be amputated. A date was fixed for the operation, and the doctor came to Toka for one last checkup. This time Baba attended the examination and inquired what medicines had been tried. Pointing to a bottle of lotion, Baba asked if it had been used. Dr. Sathe replied that it had not. So Baba picked it up and handed it to Edke, directed him to apply the lotion. The very next day, all traces of the infectious sores were miraculously gone, and no amputation was necessary.
Oh, Baba.
Yeah.
Baba that can turn water into wine.
Oh, but it can heal.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the similar. I mean,
Yeah.
You could turn a probably totally non-treating medicine to something that would be
Yes.
applicable. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's not meant for it.
No,
Have
no.
you tried it? Well, try it. You know? Yeah. Yeah. On July 29th, Raya, Anna 104, and Gulab Shah arrived in Toka. Raya and Anna had been staying in Ahmednagar since the move to Toka, and Gulab returned after being away since December. A cricket match was played that day. In the evening, Meher the Star read some of his poetry, later made into a book, Arrows of Flame. Afterward, Kak Sahib read out one of his compositions to Baba. On August 3rd, Baba rose at 5, and at 8 o'clock he called all the boys and presented each one with new coats, books, pencils, and photographs of himself and books about his life. 2 days later, something quite different occurred. While Baba was seated on his gadi, with all the boys gathered around him, he called each boy for a special prasad. And what was that prasad? A kick in the pants from Baba. For the first time, a physical reprimand was meted out to all the boys of the Prem and Meher Ashrams. Phonographs records were then played and prasad of sweets was distributed. Baba's special prasad was not without meaning, for within a few days the behavior and attitude of the boys seemed to undergo a radical change. The boys began meditating more and more, some even rising at 1 a.m. to begin their meditation, and they would meditate on their own without being instructed to do so. Within a few days, more than half a dozen boys were ready to be transferred to the Prem Ashram. The marvelous part of it was that this new group of spiritually inspired boys included some of the ones who had been the worst troublemakers. The Mandli in charge of the boys were quite impressed to see how Baba's special prasad had its effect. Gustaji's older brother, Homai Hansodia, was also spiritually inclined, but his nature was contemplative in comparison to Gustaji's. Let's see what the note is about Gustaji's nature, 1074. After Homi Hansodia left the ashram, he lived in a hut outside of his hometown like a hermit, and devoted himself to the contemplation of Meher Baba's divinity. After some years, it was said by the local townspeople that he became very saintly. Wow. Wow. During a discourse on August 5th, Baba emphasized to Homi, Mukti, liberation from all future births and deaths, is not possible without surrenderance to a perfect master. The outer forms of religions, their rites, ceremonies, and shariat are bindings, and religion itself is a prison. To celebrate the Irani New Year, the school was closed on August 9th and cricket was played. From 10:30 until noon, Baba's feet were washed by the boys. Earlier during the cricket match, Baba's knee was injured, but despite the pain and being on a fast, Baba played as actively as ever. That's amazing that Baba was injured, his knee was injured. You know, that's... he served food to everyone, which they ate under the shade of a tree, with Baba seated among them. At 3 o'clock, cricket was again played, but this time Baba did not play in the game due to his injury, watching it from the sidelines. To entertain Baba, the ashram boys that evening, Baidu, Boo Sahib, Dake, Dastur, Masaji, Nadir Shah, Bendu, Rao Sahib, Merangpur and Subnis and Namdar staged a play. Let's see what the play was about.
All right.
1074. 1074. Namdar, Namdar was an Irani living with Baba since February. Oh. So anyway, that was the play that they all staged, and Freddie, we can stop there.
Okay, let's keep going.
You want to keep going?
Oh yeah, we should at least read 1 hour.
Okay.
We can start till about
So the top of 1095.
1075.
Acha, right.
Baba loved Kaka Shahani's family very much and had accepted responsibility for the maintenance of the family and the education of the 7 children. On August 10th, Mohan Shahani left the ashram to further his education. He and Gadikar had both been serving as teachers in the school. Baba did not wish Mohan to leave, but the young man was not deeply drawn to the spiritual life and wished to pursue his studies in college. He'd only been staying in the ashram to fulfill his father's promise to Baba, which was that after Mohan's high school graduation he would stay with Baba for 6 months, and that period had now expired. Baba revealed to Kaka Shahani, if Mohan stays with me, he'll become internationally famous. But Mohan decided to go his own way and left Baba for the rest of his life. When Mohan was leaving, Baba turned to Padre and sadly remarked, "He will not see me again for 700 years." On August 11th, a high public official, similar to a mayor, the collector of Ahmednagar, paid a visit to the ashram, especially to meet the 3 Europeans, Meherabad Star and the 2 ladies. The man was quite impressed that Britishers would migrate to India to join a spiritual ashram. That same day, Agha Ali's father, Haji Mohammed, again returned, demanding that he be allowed to take his son away for a few days. It seems that Jamshed Afsari, who had been recently sent from the ashram, had gone to Bombay and was stirring up heated opposition against Baba and the school. The resentful boy was spreading all sorts of vicious lies about what was happening in Toka. He claimed to have personally witnessed and suffered the cruelty of the Mandalay teachers and staff of the institution. Baba was always indifferent to such slander. When this news about Afsari was conveyed, Ramju remembered Baba having remarked to him in April, "Afsari is not what he appears. He will prove a traitor." Baba's words were coming true. For 2 days and nights, the Mandalay tried to reason with Haji, but the man refused to allow his son to stay. Finally, the Mandalay reminded him of the agreement he had signed, and they refused to cancel unless he compensated Baba for the boy's expenses of his education, lodging, and boarding to date. Baba, of course, did not care about the money. The Mandalay were only trying to make Haji listen to reason. Ali's father left, but was disturbed and did not return to Bombay. He went to Ahmednagar and reported the matter to the police. The consequences of this caused some trouble. Ooh. Baba again began giving discourses to the boys this same day, which he had stopped since January. Baba explained about the transitoriness of life on page 1076 in Lord Meher Volume 3, transitory and illusory. Sin and virtue, good and bad, heaven and hell are all bindings because they are transitory and illusory states. But such truths cannot be mentioned to the outside world because most of mankind lacks the preparedness and understanding to digest such knowledge. If some things are revealed, instead of being enlightened, people may fumble more in the darkness of their ignorance. Instead of making a good impression, if such things are not properly explained, the outside world would have a very distorted impression about the things I revealed to you. Is that true, though? I mean, sometimes I try to talk to people about Baba saying the truth. They say, "What?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, man, hey, you're out of it, man."
That's why I keep Baba so private.
It has to be.
I don't want people to disrespect him.
Exactly. By you, it's like like would you talk about your dear beloved? Like your mother or something. You wouldn't do the same thing. You wouldn't want to.
Well, it's like saying pearls before swine.
Exactly.
For instance, at this conference, there is a guy who obviously is a Westerner, but he has an Indian first name. His name is like Subir. That's an Indian name. He says, yes, this name is given by my master. He says, oh, wonderful. I follow Meher Baba. Didn't care. So when we finished, I said, thank you very much. And he just said, Om. And I wanted to say Jai Baba, but you know what I mean? It's like...
Oh, yeah, he was...
He's in his own... Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many rivers, so many paths.
Yes.
You can't... It's a good lesson that you just have to
live it like private. Just keep it a private thing, yeah.
The master was in a splendid mood that night after Arti. At 8:30 he revealed to the Mandali that a Pur in Africa on the 6th plane had just given up his body, and at that moment Baba felt a shock. He also disclosed that there was an advanced soul between the 5th and 6th planes in Baghdad who acknowledged he was Meher Baba's disciple. Then he mentioned that there was one Wali in Egypt also with full powers, but Baba was unknown to him even though he was on the 5th plane. The following day there was a quarrel between Bailey and Bua Sahib. Bua Sahib wanted to know who had given Bailey tea and bread without his permission. It was a petty matter, and Bua Sahib stirred up a storm unnecessarily. Baba severely took him to task over it, and Bua Sahib apologized. After Bua Sahib acknowledged his mistake, Baba ordered him to place his head on Bailey's feet, which he did, but this did not pacify Bailey, who wished to be transferred to Rustam's department in the ashram. While permitting it, Baba remarked to him, if despite Bua Sahib's apology your heart has not forgiven him, then you have no heart. This in turn made Bailey apologize. The men's Mandali department was officially referred to as Meherabad, but as mentioned before, Pendu was humorously named it the Harijan department due to the poor quality food being served.
That means they're untouchable.
Yeah. On August 13th, Baba renamed it Maharwada, meaning the Mahar locality, where low-class people live. Baba also gave each man a number, such as Mahar number 1, Mahar number 2, and so forth. Almost to make fool number 9,
Right.
The next day, the school was given another holiday in celebration of the Parsi New Year. The boys happily played games in the morning, and at 10:30, Baba's feet were washed. Pendu, Padri, and Pesu were Baba's attendants, but during the washing of his feet, they were absent, and this displeased Baba. Later, Baba also reproved Vishnu and Shahani for some negligence. Why are you people harassing me in this way? Even though I agree to this ceremony because you wish it, you fail to make the proper arrangements. At the evening program, Dahaki and Dastur delivered speeches. The former's talk was in a humorous vein, and the latter's was very serious. Both men had gone to extremes, causing Baba to criticize them. Dahaki's was too humorous, and Dastur's too high. Ramju's sister, Aminja Jafar, who stayed with the women in Toka, contracted cholera, and on August 15th appeared critically ill. Showing special concern, Baba would visit her even in the middle of the night, and personally gave her medicine to make certain that she recovered. Meanwhile, Agha Ali's father had not found much help at the police station in Ahmednagar. He was informed that his complaint was not a matter for the police, but for the courts. When this was reported to Baba, he surprisingly remarked, "It is good if he takes us to court. Let the court decide one way or the other, so that we will not be disturbed any more." The principal, Dahaki, was late again for school that day. When Baba found out He scolded him and gave Dahaki an unusual punishment, making him give a lecture on humor for half an hour.
That's not bad.
There was a ping-pong table kept in the dining hall, and that evening for 1 hour Baba played ping-pong with his brothers Jal and Behram and Sorab Hashosa Sandara, who was a student in the school. Besides staying aloof and meditating during the day, Meherabad Star meditated at night also. He was having mere glimpses, yet every day he would narrate his experiences to Baba as if they were extraordinary, and he was naively convinced that he was now ready for realization. On August 16th, when Star described his most recent brush with the infinite, saying that he had experienced bliss during his meditation, Baba seemingly expressed his pleasure. However, he wanted Star to be humble and turned to the little boy Dara Hanshota, advising him, "Don't think of union or realization, only love. Try to love me by meditating on me. Leave all other thoughts behind." There is a saying in Persian, 1,000 kings and emperors like Jamsed and Kaikarushu are like slaves before a Kitu. 10 more minutes. Here's a beautiful picture of Baba in a western suit during Toka.
Amazing.
Isn't he awesome?
Yeah.
I've never seen that picture before. Isn't that beautiful?
No, it's a nice thing about seeing these folks is you see photos you've never seen.
I mean, Baba looks so cool as they say. On page 1079. On the 17th of August, Baba began acting peculiarly, flinging things about which were near at hand. Twice he sent his Kapsidor and his alphabet board flying.
Wow. Kapsidor, which is spit into, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Once at noon and again at night. In the evening, Baba had his gadi placed in the dining hall for the first time and sat there while the boys ate. Several of the boys who were meditating from 1 a.m. until sunrise were obviously not sleeping much. Concerned about their health, on August 18th, Baba began giving private interviews to the boys, inquiring whether they had slept and how they were feeling. Almost 30 of the youngsters revealed that they were rising in the middle of the night for meditation. Yet it was observed that despite lack of sleep, all the boys seemed as alert and active as ever. The following day, an elocution contest was held, and Dahaki and Ramju were declared the winners. Just as the prizes were being distributed at 5 o'clock, the happy atmosphere was spoiled by the sudden intrusion of an angry group of Muslim parents demanding the return of their children, including Agha Ali's father, who had brought a legal writ to this effect. Baba had the parents wait, and for more than 2 hours discussed the problem with the Mandali, who had various opinions about what to do. Some felt that they should fight the matter out in the courts, but others felt that they should simply hand over the boys and end the trouble. Surprisingly, Baba sided with the latter group to avoid a court case, and Agha Ali and 3 other boys were put in custody of their parents that night. Afterward, Baba commented about the fate of Agha Ali. 4 boys have departed, of whom Ali was the best. Ali will suffer much, but the suffering will bring him closer to me. To suffer for me is good, though it would have been better that his father let him remain here. If he stays with his parents and is happy, well and good. If he goes mad, his father will bring him back to me. If he dies, he will be liberated. But anyway, it will be all right, for he has love which no one else can rob from him. Baba had been continuously fasting since the 5th of July. At times he would drink milkless tea or sherbet mixture made from wood apples. Yet during this period, despite fasting, he was always light-spirited and agile. Up to then he had not stepped out of the ashram at Toka since arriving in June. But on August 20th, on the Hindu festival of Nag Panchami, worship of the cobra, Baba left at 7:30 with 18 people for a visit to Ahmednagar and Shendi. Accompanying him were a few of the Mandali, a number of boys, Abdullah, Meredith, Star, and the 2 Western ladies. They arrived in Ahmednagar at 9:30, and the group went to Akbar Press, where they stayed for 3 hours. Sitar and tambura music were played, and breakfast served. Afterward, they went to Shendi village. At Shendi, Baba was received with great enthusiasm. Borker had set up a program, and the Patel of the village had seen to all the arrangements. Baba was taken in a grand procession to the Patel's house, where he was covered with flower garlands. At 7 that night, Baba returned with a group to Toka. For some time, Chanji's brother, Nauroji Dada Chanji, who lived in Bombay, was suffering from a severe case of dysentery. Despite many diverse treatments, he was not recovering. Baba called him to Toka and asked him to begin eating only wheat chapatis and milk. That's wheat, chapatis, and milk. Although this idea did not appeal to him, he followed Baba's advice. However, Nauroji suffered all the more, and after 2 days on August 21st, when Baba asked him how he felt, he said, "Baba, my trouble has increased by eating chapatis. For this disease, chapatis are poison." Baba replied, "All right, then you may eat rice." Nauroji was happy and switched to this diet, but the rice seemed to aggravate his dysentery even more, and he became desperate over what to do next. Through Chanji, Baba sent him a message to return to Bombay. Nauroji was disappointed and sought Baba's forgiveness, pleading that whatever Baba told him to eat he would, willingly or unwillingly, asked Baba. "Very willingly. I now have full faith and trust in you." Baba then instructed him to eat only cream of wheat, and in a few days his health was nearly normal. Without explaining this time, Baba seemed quite indifferent to Agha Ali's removal and did not send anyone to bring him back. He concentrated instead on the spiritual progress of the remaining boys who, for the previous few weeks, were increasingly drawn to him. On August 22nd, Baba eased the school curriculum for 1 month and ordered the mandali to let the boys come to him whenever they wished. During this period, Baba was surrounded by the children wherever he went. Many of the boys would wake up at midnight and sit in meditation. At the same time, they would observe the routine during school hours, study, meals, and games, without feeling tired. Baba indicated that this was a good sign, and he was pleased with their enthusiasm. A complete change in the Prem Ashram was noticed, and the play of wine began again. The master started paying particular attention to a boy named Biwa, Bhiwa, or Biwa, often calling him to be near him, and patting and kissing him. One day at 1:30, Baba gathered all the Prem Ashram boys and asked whether they were having any problems meditating at night and early in the morning. Many replied that they were not. But Biwa began shedding tears and did not answer. Baba questioned him. After hesitating, Biwa answered, "While meditating, I don't see your physical form. Many thoughts assail me." Baba consoled him with an explanation about the mind. The mind is a terrible thing. It may be called a curse. Its business is to think and think, the more so when we do not wish to think of a particular person or thing. For instance, when you sit down for meditation or concentration on the Guru or beloved God, other worldly thoughts of 1,001 kinds, of which ordinarily you would not have dreamed, are sure to rush into your mind. Thoughts always creep in with their continuous onslaughts, for it is the business of the mind to think, think, and think. But the real thinker and meditator is he who would not pay attention to these thoughts and would go on meditating on the image of his worship, even amidst the strongest attacks. This intervention of other ideas is not a sin or a defect or even a mistake of the sahak or aspirant. These thoughts do and will come as long as that terrible mind is there. The sadhak had only to persist strenuously to drive away these as much as he can and think of the beloved God. He should not give up meditation or feel disturbed or disappointed by these attacks. You need not worry or cry that you cannot love when you cannot meditate due to other thoughts disturbing you. For don't you get up from your sweet sound sleep at midnight with the idea of doing meditation? That is half the work done. Sacrificing your sweet sleep for meditation of your own accord without any compulsion. Do you not try to sit down for hours until morning to meditate on me when others are in sound sleep? This is 3/4 of the work done. Now only 1/4 is left, that is, thinking of only one thing. And try to do that. If you are successful, all right. If not, don't worry. 3/4 of the work has been done by your waking up and trying to sit. for hours in meditation. It is no fault of yours if you do not get the image before your eyes. Persevere and persist in your efforts. Do not be discouraged and give up the effort. Do not try to throw away the sitar because it is hard to tune. Try to adjust and tune each string persistently with the firm intent of making the instrument work. Similarly, try to catch outside thoughts by the ear and throw them out. Suppose there are innumerable mosquitoes swarming around and some start biting you at night. What would you do to get rid of this annoyance? Would you just sit there and cry? No. You would at once get a mosquito net. You would resort to a remedy and it eventually would have the desired effect. Even though the mosquitoes would come in hordes at first, you would not feel disturbed, for they would almost all be outside the curtain, though a few might have come inside the net. Likewise, deal with all these thoughts. They, like mosquitoes, are sure to come and annoy you. But you have to put up a curtain of thoughts about me by letting my divine image be present before your mind's eye. Meditate on me so that the other thoughts automatically stop pestering your mind. Let the mosquito net of meditation on me save you from being bitten by your thoughts. To bring my image before your mind's eye, think of me in my various physical activities, going here and there, discoursing, giving darshan, kissing and embracing the boys, reclining on my seat, listening to records, etc. And while you will thus see me in my activities, an image will surely come before your eyes. No sooner than you get this scene, let it not escape, but have a firm hold on it in your mind, and concentrate on it with all your affection. Thus your meditation on my various activities will lead you to a concentration on my form, and you will then sit for hours concentrating on me. Remember what I explained. Call to me and keep me in mind, and then meditate on my movements, gestures, facial expressions, and activities, whatever you remember. If thoughts interrupt, let them. Do not pay any heed. I will teach some of the selected boys and a few of the mandali the methods of meditation. It should be done quite aloof from everyone. Meditation should not be a troublesome burden or boring. It should give joy and be continued. Baba demonstrated 3 sitting postures and made a revealing remark. When I was Jesus, I showed these methods to a thief. He did not explain anything else in regard to Jesus. Here's Baba in a villager's outfit. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
One of the we'll end up on that page.
Yeah.
Page 1084.
Okay.
We end up and we'll begin. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.